hear them again. Yeah, I really appreciate Professor Henry's invitation today. It's very nice to see very good old friends from our work to promote the Declaration on the Rights of Peasants. So I come from Bolivia, and I am currently based in the Netherlands. I am specialist in social sciences, and yeah, my doctoral research was on equity specifically. Um, and currently, I am working at WWF as advisor on human rights. Yeah, so I was invited to share some trends. So I have a little presentation that I can share here, if you allow me. Thank you so much. So yeah, I am have been working for many years in this intersection between human rights and the environment. I had the pleasure of accompanying indeed the process of the negotiations of the declaration in the UN, of the Declaration of the Rights of Peasants, and also as delegate in many environmental discussions, including the Paris Agreement. And also now in this new role, I have it at WWF, been able to see how different actors and right holders and organizations can work together for agroecology as part of a good transition. So yeah, it is really concerning that the global food systems are having such a great impact on nature. There is 80% of deforestation is caused by the global food system. It's driven by the way that the mainstream way we produce and consume food. 70% of terrestrial biodiversity loss is linked to deforestation and food system changes. And 1/3 of the greenhouse gas emissions are also caused by this. So, and also the immense amount of global freshwater use that these mainstream food systems are causing. So this system is not sustainable, it's exceeding the capacity of the Mother Earth to recover. And it's for our human rights, and particularly the rights of peasants and other people working in rural areas, but also indigenous peoples. We see that although we have now, according to some, a greater food production in terms of the amount of yields in the same areas, but this has not decreased the amount of poverty or hunger in the world. There are still more than 600 million people facing hunger. Overweight is growing in many places in the world. And of course, these increasing yields in many parts have been done thanks to increased amounts of pesticides, and which are really undermining our health and the health of the planet. There is an increasing concentration of seeds in the hands of a few, impacting the rights of peasants, and also a lot of land grabbing. For example, in the Amazon, many indigenous peoples are facing land grabs and risking their lives to defend their territories due to deforestation related to agribusinesses. I talk about agribusinesses, but there is also a lot of deforestation caused by small-scale farming, linked to the export commodities. So it's not it's something globally led as well. And this is going to be further exacerbated with climate change. It was already mentioned by some speakers before. Some studies show that 30% of the crop yields, particularly in Africa and Asia, will be affected and decline substantially in the coming decades. And this is really concerning for the right to food. Many people will be displaced. Many more people will grow into poverty, like millions of people, because of climate change. Many of them, of course, unfortunately, people from the rural areas. And I'm sure that the reaction from the agricultural system will be to increase even further the mainstream system of pesticide use and monoculture. So we definitely need a change, an alternative. And this alternative is agroecology. This is not only good for people, but also for nature. With agroecological approaches, we can really have not only food, fiber, but also biodiversity. And there are many examples. So agroforestry that has been discussed in these conferences is one of those examples that can help increase soil fertility, increase resilience to climate change, but also reduce the cost of some inputs that are being so expensive and imposed into farmers. But also it could be good for the producers, better health, and hopefully also better prices for their organic crops. But unfortunately, the systems worldwide are not very easy for agroecology and who wants to transform to agroecology, because there is really a huge gap in funding for this. It requires funding because if you need to transition from one way of producing to another, of course, the plant needs time to grow. And what do you do in the meantime? You need to make profit, you need to live still. So there are fortunately great gaps. And for example, there's a study showing that in the Green Climate Fund, only 10% of the agricultural funds that were provided in between 16 and 18, only 10% went to agroecology. Same for the support of EU and to organizations like FAO and others. The EU was not paying attention to this in the past years. But there is growing interest. It's not the mainstream, but it's growing, and we have some good examples as well. For example, in our organization, we have some projects funded by the Dutch ministry that supports this transition to agroecology. But this is, of course, not enough. And I think overall, my call is to unite all the forces, and I think the researchers can play a crucial role in providing the data and showing that this is possible to be done. And I think previous speakers have shown very strong cases of how universities can collaborate with farmers, with peasant movements. And I think organizations like WWF and others that are supporting biodiversity can also be a good ally in this transition to show that both nature and people can benefit from this. And I have also a nice example in the Netherlands. As you may know, the Netherlands is a heavily agricultural country, but with a way of production that is completely unsustainable. And so WWF is partnering with some organizations and also with collaboration of Wageningen University to support food forests. So this is a small picture of it. It's very small, but compared to the very unsustainable forms of agriculture around it. But I visited this food forest, and it was really amazing how you can see biodiversity coming back to this area in only 10 years. And we had pictures of how the crops around it during high droughts in the past years were so much affected, and this area remained resilient. And what is very interesting is that this model is unfortunately not a natural forest. There are no longer natural forests in the Netherlands, but this is a planted forest, but is planted in a very smart way, trying to mimic nature as much as possible, and of course without chemicals, without pesticides, trying to use as much as possible the natural systems to act in favor of the growth of these plants. So different trees positioned in different areas to harness the best of them. And the owner of this, he is really much benefiting economically as well, because he has all these plants are producing certain types of foods that are very very precious. And he is partnering with Michelin cookers in the Netherlands, chefs who are very much interested in using this type of healthy foods in their plates. So of course it's a small project now, and this wants to be scaled. But yeah, it's an example that it is possible. But of course we need to unite forces to also show to politicians that this is possible, that this is good, this is necessary. Unfortunately, the lobby of the big agriculture is always so big. But this type of example show that it is possible. But we need to unite forces again. So yeah, thanks for this invitation, and happy to stay in touch. I am not the expert in foods in my team in WWF, but I am happy to connect you with our experts in our organization who are really working to be part of these movements towards agroforestry, agroecology, very much aligned also with human rights and the rights of peasants. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Natalia, for your contribution.